Needless to say, we're playing a very good Michigan football team, which seems to be the case anytime you play them. We've got a very good football team. We had an excellent team last year, and I think this team's every bit as good, certainly if not better. So it'll be a big challenge. They're a veteran football team, strong in a lot of areas, and have to travel to Ann Arbor. So we'll get back to work.
Which quarterback do you think will play for?
You got to be ready for both, and Coach Oak said it was a day-to-day thing, which we understand that totally, and it probably is. I mean, I'm sure it is. But from our standpoint, I'm not sure it does matter because they're obviously 16's a heck of a football player, and beyond that, just read the accounts. He's you can see it on film, but they all say he's a heck of a team leader, just a great young man. Did a great job at the banquet back in I guess it was August, end of July. So he's a really dynamic football player, great team leader. But the other guys really jumped in there and done a great job too, and you can just see him improving with each time out. So it's a little bit tricky because you have two preparations. They're not that much different, but they're not the same either. So it's two different preparations, and both of them are tough preparations. Robinson's just so quick and elusive, and so there'll be a little bit more design runs with him in there, and it's just it's like trying to play a guy who's a good running back who also can throw it back there, and then Gardner's a little bigger guy, but he can run it too, and he gets outside, he's dangerous, and he throws the ball well too. So it's a little bit different. The thing that doesn't change is they got a really good line. Those guys are big physical guys, veteran guys up front, and tight ends do a nice job. They've got a couple of receivers that can really go too. So it's a big challenge for you. Typically you play in at least one senior day every year, and I'm sure it's a special thing, just like we'll be here, the week after. But I think that wears off pretty quickly once the game gets going, and as far as year to year, week to week, all that stuff. I mean, we're not the same team we were a year ago, and they're not either. And we're hardly, there's no tie-in to years before that. So I don't think it really plays into it. I think it's just kind of their team this year against our team this year, and see how we go against each other. Team effort. They're not the same as they were in the '80s, but similar, or even 10 years ago, where their scheme is really good, and it's not the same as, but it's certainly different the last 2 years, and their players are really confident playing it, and then they give you some things to keep you up late at night. Especially on third down, they do some things that are very challenging. But the biggest thing is they really play hard. They play really hard. They're very sound fundamentally. And when I think back when I was coaching here in the '80s, that's it seemed like every year faces would always be changing, but it was the same routine. And that '85 team, I can't remember how many touchdowns they'd given up. That was fairly late in the season, and it was a ridiculous amount of touchdowns that they'd allowed. So their secondary's playing well. I'm not minimizing that, but the guys up front and their linebackers do a great job, and they mix things up so you really can't get comfortable against them.
As far as this week, obviously very talented guys. Denard extremely talented. Whether he's going to go or not, who knows? But you got to prepare obviously as if he is, and also the other guy's a great player as well. So we definitely just got to focus on improvement, on improving ourselves. Because if obviously the kind of performances we put on the last couple of weeks, it's not good enough to beat anybody. So let alone the University of Michigan. I'm not exactly sure. Obviously trust the coaching staff on that as the schemes that they're going to put in, and obviously you're going to have to notice which guys back there. A little bit different players, different types of athletes. But I mean, as far as schematically wise, you just got to kind of do your job. We'll be put in the right position to do it, and we just got to execute.
Something like that.
Yeah, they're really talented in the back end and do a lot of different things. A lot of guys have played a lot of football back there, so it's certainly going to be difficult, and we're going to have to find ways to make plays in the throwing and running game.
They've kind of offered?
Well, I mean, obviously they're a very well-coached staff, and I remember playing against some of the guys last year, but they're a new team this year. There is some new faces, and they're doing a little different things, so it'll be a full week of preparation.
Him at all?
Well, I think he realizes the situation as well as we all do. We've certainly put ourselves in a bad spot and have 2 tough games coming up, but similar to the injuries, there's nothing we can do about that now. We got to go to work and we got to find a way to get better because we're hurting ourselves in too many areas to win games right now.
I would go back and say Sean Green was running behind a pretty good line. So, those guys were, he was talking about one of the best lines come through here in a while. Mark was doing a great job for us. He was making a lot of those yards on his own. I would go back and say, this line, we just haven't been performing very well to give our backs an honest chance. So I think it's not fair to try and, evaluate them in any sense. I think we need to do a better job up front, just maintaining blocks and getting them through the second level to show what they can do. Football is a physical game. Every week's going to be physical, especially in the Big Ten. This week will be no different with Michigan. You look at these guys; they're big up front. They play fast. They play good team football. It's going to be very important for us to just set a physical tempo starting today.
Obviously it's a huge challenge, for us because, he's gonna scramble around. Maybe we might, break contain a couple times, but, as a DB, you got to stay on your receiver. It's not just a 6-second play, it can turn into a 10-second play. And them 4 seconds can get the receivers wide open. So, he's a dangerous player, and we know that going in. And, as if he starts to scramble, we just know we have to, latch on the receivers and try to make a play. In the last couple of games, we have a lot of big plays. Especially in the last game, we had which looked like we had the guy tackled. Next thing you know, he'd break out and get 5-10 yards, and on the one play it was even
56.
I'm not sure how long it was, but so I just think it's the big plays and tackling stuff like that.
It's big. From a personal standpoint, I grew up a Michigan fan. As a little kid watching Coach Campbell's wide receivers, and I really dreamed about playing in a big house one day, and it's about to come true this weekend. So it's a big deal.
This weekend?
Nah, not really. It's not really a got you back type attitude. I'm just gonna go have fun, play hard, and hopefully we can get a win. Yeah, they're a good defense. They have some good players over there, and they've played teams like Alabama, so they have a good experience right now. They play hard. It's gonna be a challenge for us, but we're up for it.